Hello, my name is Renee Strecker.
Hi, my name is Will Saponaro.
And we're here today to introduce you to Travelvoy. Now, I would bet that the majority of people in this room have experienced the so-called joys of group travel planning at one point or another in their lives. And I don't know what the best part is. Looking down at your phone and seeing 30 missed text messages, or logging onto your email after just checking last night and seeing that you're 10 emails deep already, or being added to this Pinterest board, or that Google Doc, or that spreadsheet. It is a giant, disjointed spider web of communication. And the worst part is that after all of that, one or two people end up planning the trip anyway, and everyone else throws down some cash and follows along. So there's a better way, and that way is Travelvoy. Here's how it works. A group leader initiates an itinerary. From there, they're able to add in each traveler on the trip and their email address. Before they're able to share the shared itinerary space, they'll be prompted to pay $2 per person that is going to have access to the itinerary. So if there's 5 people, that'll be $10. After payment is made, travelers will have a window of time to add activities into the shared itinerary, followed by a period of voting on those activities, followed by the trip itinerary being set and shared. Here are our 3 phases of Voy development. In phase 1, we're going to be focusing primarily on our minimum viable product of the shared itinerary. In phase 2, Voy is going to go social. You'll be able to follow your friends, your family, and other Voy users, avid users. We're going to have Voy celebrities that are going to look more like Rick Steves than Kim Kardashian. And in phase 3 will be assisted trip support. So this is going to be the first time where Voy actually publishes content in the form of 3- and 5-day itineraries. And also there's going to be pre-trip checklists that are going to have recommended packing lists. If you're going to a country that requires vaccinations, that'll be on that checklist, along with any kind of visa requirements as well. Also, in this stage, you'll be able to, if you're looking for help to find your next trip destination, you'll be able to enter in your preferences, and Voy will help you decide where you're going to go next.
So as Renee mentioned, the primary source of revenue for us is the sale of $2 access to these itineraries. Fortunately, the travel industry already has a standard way of measuring exactly this idea in the form of person trips. So to give you an example of what a person trip is, if you have one trip with 5 people going on that trip, that's 5-person trips. For us, what that means is that there's a maximum sale to 5 people on that trip for $10 of revenue. So we start with a specific market group, which is specifically destination weddings and destination bachelorette parties. Now, the reason we chose this particular group is that it's particularly painful. In fact, the average attendee of a destination bachelorette party, which is an ever-growing segment at the moment, is $850 per person. But you have little to no input as to what you're actually doing and whether you're actually going to enjoy that. So we think Voy can help solve that problem. Next, we would move on to the U.S. leisure travel market, and then on to the global market.
So as Will mentioned, our first-year target market is going to be within the wedding industry. So that'll include social media, wedding sites. You'll recognize some of these: The Knot, Brides, Wedding Bee, Style Me Pretty, and Wedding Wire. Also, we're going to have some grassroots level marketing as well, including going to bridal trade shows and also earning some brand advocates within the space, such as wedding planners. Now we're going to show a brief demo. So here's your login page. And keep in mind, this is more of an interactive wireframe than what it will actually look like. This would be the profile page. Your map here will show the pins of the countries that you have been to and also will go to. And down here is where you'll be initiating itineraries. So you have a great lineup this first year. You're going to New York, Dubai, Grenoble, France. So let's take a look at Dubai. And we'll click on Dubai. Here is a finalized itinerary after all of the voting on activities and input of activities. So you can see here what you're doing on day 1. You can click on one of the pins and have You'll have the address right there and a brief description of each activity. And then down here, again, this is more of a wireframe, but you'll be able to open your reservations. So instead of hunting down emails that you booked months ago, you'll be able to have them all right here.
So let's talk some about competition. At first, it seems like a crowded market, but as you can see, there are some that, while they have some features of what Voy seeks to do, really are not in the travel space. Next, we'll look at a few that have segmented themselves into different areas, namely the professional market. These are services that focus on aiding professionals that travel frequently, not what we're after. Finally, we're looking at the leisure travel, and especially for us, the group travel. Now, these competitors have some key differentiators from Voy, namely pricing and frequently the collaborative elements to the degree that Voy is interested in achieving. For our revenue, we started with a bottom-up sales forecast that is month to month and based on the conversion and response rates for our chosen marketing platforms. What that allowed for us to do is to get a monthly user increase that we then used to drive exactly what expenses we would need in order to support that user base. And that is what we used all the way through year 3. For our exit in year 3, we used an estimate of an industry standard multiple of price to sales. And from that, we then were able to ascertain that the $70,000 that we're seeking for today for an initial investment, we're able to offer a 20x return with a 9% equity position. Now, for the first milestone that we'll have for year 1, a key thing that we'll be looking at is the user base we have at the end of that year. The investment will go toward primarily the development of Voy as a tool, but secondarily will be used as an initial marketing push. At the end of year 1, that'll be a key point for us to evaluate that.
And here's the management team who will be the wind beneath the wings of getting Voy off the ground. Will be our financial officer. Neil, you want to stand up and wave? Neil is going to be in charge of product development and also co-developing Voy. My background will be Catalyst in Chief, and also my skill set will come more into play in phase 2 when we're going to be seeking advertising, affiliate marketing, as my background is in corporate sponsorships in the professional sports industry. So today we're asking everyone in this room to be the early adopters of Travel Voy when we launch in November. Traveling is the adventure. Travel Voy is your roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you. Sales forecast that we use is directly coming from the response rates and the conversion rates that are from specific advertising platforms, but our assumption is that those rates are advertised for a reason, and that's that they're cheap because they apply more to established brands. So we do expect that there's going to be some additional costs per acquisition of each customer in the first year alone. So one of the gaps as far as the management team that we're looking to fill with our advisor board is consulting on exactly that first 3 to 6 months of advertising. We have $30K of that $70K devoted toward funding that push, but we are looking for allocation recommendations from that person. I will say that that $30K is based on a per customer cost of just above $1, which is obviously much higher than what the conversion rate and response rates recommend. And so basically what that allows for is some room for us to evaluate the allocation as far as online versus grassroots marketing initially. Anything to add for that?
No, I think we're going to be super targeted, and because of that granular target, we're going to see a higher conversion from impressions to customers.
Yeah, that specific ITM of the wedding market is significant for us. Yes.
To build on that.
Can I get you this mic? Oh. Thanks.
Sure. So to build on that, the difference between total universe versus available universe. So there's a very large universe of travelers. There's a very large universe of people who get married. But of that subset, how many, so total universe of those, versus available universe who would use this product, which would lead me to your cost of customer acquisition versus lifetime customer value. So if all of your money is going into acquiring that customer, how much thought has been put into how do you get repeatability and scalability out of those customers? Because it seems like there's a lot of effort into acquiring a customer.
Sure.
But then how many of those customers are actually going to use this product again within a 12-month period? So how many people are going on multiple trips per year
Right.
with multiple people requiring the service?
Right. So one of the things that early on we did was an actual survey of our peers. I think the total pool was roughly 70 people that responded. And one of the questions on there was, how often do you go on group trips? And the response rate we got just from that pool was 1.5 trips per year on average. So even just if the person used the service one time, we expect that they will reoccur within, if you divide 1 year by 1.5. So that, however, we did not include in our sales forecast. So in other words, what we're saying is that by omitting the recurrence rate, we wanted to focus just on that initial acquisition because that's where we really wanted to show that Voy is viable. So that would just be bonus on top, that recurrence. Yes?
Just a follow-up to that. So your revenue per customer is essentially $2.
Right.
What is your cost of customer acquisition per customer?
Sure. So for year one, we're expecting it'll be just over $1. For years 2 through 3, based on the conversion and response rates, and I should just cover what that is. So conversion rate is the actual click-through rate for online advertising. Response rate is the actual conversion to a customer from those conversion rates. And so based on that, the cost would be just around 10 cents moving forward, which is why we know that's not applicable in the first year.
Okay. So from a development point of view, reading through your plan, you're going to integrate lots of travel information. You got APIs to a whole bunch of, you've got to write those to all these different travel sites and technologies. How are you going to get that done on $40,000?
You want to talk about the initial product development?
Yes. So depending on the outcome of this competition, we would be using all of the funds to meet with our professional developer next weekend in San Antonio.
That said, you're correct on the amount. The $40,000 is what we've allocated based on his rate that we've already secured for that contractor to develop the product itself.
Mm-hmm. And I wish that I could speak more to the technology. Our technology person is right here. We're going to be looking at the cheaper cost APIs at first, and then after that, if they don't correlate or if they have too strong of a legal constraint for us, we'll have to revisit. But we are looking into it more and seeing what we can and can't sustain.
I know though
So
that
between marketing expense and development expense, that takes up everything that you're raising. How are you going to pay yourselves and anybody else to support the business going forward?
year one, it's going to be tight.
Yeah, like zero.
However, So, however, after that, once that user base begins to surpass $100,000, we believe we'll be able to sustain our salary. And at that point, some of the laws of the internet start to take over as far as winner take all. So the key is getting that first year right. Beyond that, then those rates begin to apply, where they're the actual Facebook conversion and response rates in addition to Instagram and some of the others. So those are the actual numbers that they advertise as far as what you get per dollar spent with those advertisers.